The night was cold and silent, broken only by the distant rumble of artillery. In a small French village named Saint-Maurice, children huddled under blankets while their parents whispered in fear. The German soldiers had occupied the town for months, and rumors spread that they planned to burn it to the ground before retreating. At the edge of the village, in the thick woods, a lone American soldier pressed his back against a tree, clutching his rifle. His name was Private Daniel Reed, a farm boy from Kansas who had never expected to be this far from home. He had been separated from his unit after a brutal firefight. Now he was alone, wounded, and behind enemy lines. Yet fate had placed him within earshot of Saint-Maurice, a village about to face destruction. Daniel wiped the blood from his brow and whispered, "Not on my watch." The morning sun revealed a broken town. Shops stood empty, their windows shattered. German soldiers marched the streets with rifles slung across their shoulders. The villagers lowered their heads, avoiding eye contact. Daniel watched from a barn loft, his stomach empty, his leg aching. He knew he could not fight an entire German unit alone, but he also knew he could not walk away. Suddenly, the barn door creaked open. A young girl, no older than 12, stepped inside, carrying a loaf of bread. She gasped when she saw Daniel, nearly dropping it. "Please," Daniel whispered in French. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm American." The girl stared for a moment, then nodded. "My name is Claire," she said softly. Claire's family risked their lives to hide Daniel. For the first time since being separated from his unit, Daniel felt a sliver of hope. But outside, German officers were preparing something. The villagers had noticed the sudden stockpiling of gasoline and explosives. Whispers spread. The Germans planned to destroy the village before leaving. Daniel's heart raced. He had no radio, no way to contact his unit, and no reinforcements. But he did have his training, his rifle, and the will to fight. "We can't wait," Daniel said, pacing in the dim candlelight of Claire's basement. "If they light those fires, your village is gone." Claire's father, a blacksmith named Henry, spoke with a low voice. "We are simple people. We have no weapons. What can we do?" Daniel leaned forward. "You know the town. You know the streets, the barns, the hiding spots. If you help me, maybe, just maybe, we can stop them." The villagers were torn between fear and desperation. A single American soldier against dozens of Germans sounded impossible. But Daniel's determination lit a spark inside them. For the first time in months, they saw resistance in the eyes of someone who refused to bow. Night fell. Daniel crawled through the shadows with 2 young men from the village, carrying stolen bottles of gasoline. They reached the German supply trucks at the edge of town. He whispered, "Quiet now. We do this fast." One by one, they poured gasoline under the trucks and slipped away before lighting a rag and tossing it beneath. The explosion shook the ground, flames rising high into the night sky. Germans shouted, scrambling in confusion. From the hills, Daniel fired a single shot, then another from a different spot. The echoes made it sound like multiple soldiers were attacking. Panic spread. The Germans believed a larger force was closing in. But as Daniel reloaded, he felt the sting of a bullet graze his arm. They had spotted him. The village was alive with whispers of hope. Some believed the Americans had finally arrived. But one villager, a man named Luke, was bitter. He feared German revenge more than he cared for freedom. That night, he slipped away and told the German commander about the American hiding in St. Maurice. At dawn, the soldiers stormed house to house. Daniel barely escaped by crawling into a cellar with Claire's help. The German officer, furious at the sabotage, gathered the villagers in the square. "If the American does not surrender," he shouted, "10 of you will be executed at sunrise." Daniel clenched his fists. He could no longer hide. Daniel limped to the village square in the dead of night. He carried grenades he had stolen and his rifle. The villagers watched in silence from their windows as Daniel moved like a shadow, setting traps, cutting fuel lines, and placing explosives. When the Germans gathered at dawn to carry out the executions, Daniel struck. The first explosion tore through their trucks. Gunfire erupted. Daniel fired from rooftops, moved through alleys, and fought like a man possessed. The villagers, inspired, finally joined him, throwing stones, using farm tools, anything they could find. The fight was brutal. Daniel took a bullet in the shoulder but pressed on. One by one, the Germans fell, until the survivors fled the village, terrified of the American ghost who had outsmarted them. But Daniel collapsed in the square, bleeding heavily. The village was free. The Germans never returned. Claire and Henri carried Daniel to their home, where he lay weak but alive. For weeks, they nursed him back to health. By the time American forces finally reached St. Maurice, they found a village still standing, a miracle in a war filled with destruction. The villagers pointed to Daniel, but when the officer in charge asked for his name, Daniel only said, "Private Reed, sir." He never told the full story. In the chaos of war, his heroism was forgotten by history, but not by St. Maurice. Every year after the war, the villagers lit candles in the square, whispering the name of the soldier who saved them. Claire, now grown, would tell her children, "There was once an American who gave us hope when we had none. Remember him." Subscribe to our channel, Cloud Rest Stream, for more intriguing stories.